Hi guys, and welcome back to Gas City Gaming. In this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the new revelations we've had over the last couple of days about the new stat lines that we're going to have in 40k and the new weapons, how they're going to be handled in 40k as well. So first things first, we're going to talk, first of all, we've had our profiles as we know them from 7th edition for the last 10 years or so, and they haven't changed too much. And going forward, though, as you can see, we have a one down below for our new tactical squad. We've gained a movement stat for all units, and we've lost our initiative stat. So what this does, they said that they want this to do a couple of things. It helps all the armies feel unique, like I was saying in our other video when we first had the big review in their FAQ video. All the units will feel unique. They came out. This is directly from the article. Eldar will run faster than Guardsmen, and Hormagaunts will run faster than both, which just makes sense when you think about it lore-wise, right? A regular human can't run as fast as a Space Marine, who can't run as fast as an Eldar, who can't run as fast as a Hormagaun. So that just makes sense when you think about it, so they're bringing that into the game, where this game that we all play based on this science fiction universe has more logic to it, I guess you could say. Another thing that they revealed is that all of the vehicles are going to have the same stat line as infantry. All vehicles will have, weapon skill. I'm guessing their weapon skill is going to be 1 unless they're a dreadnought or something, which we might find out. Their ballistic skill, they'll have strength, toughness, wounds, all that kind of stuff. Movement stat they'll have as well. So we'll get to see that. Nice thing is that means that there's going to be a lot less discussion, we'll call it, argument kind of, but discussion of the difference between monstrous creatures and vehicles. There was a lot of discussion if you're a player who's been around for a while. Why is your thing a monstrous creature and my thing is a vehicle? Your big walker that's a big robot suit with a guy inside should be a walker, right? It doesn't make sense for it to be a monstrous creature when, Tyranids, those are monstrous creatures, right? Those are the things that we should be able to do when we're talking about bringing more logic into the game. So the nice thing is they're gonna have the same stat lines. How they're gonna handle this is things are gonna have a lot more wounds than before. Again, directly from the article, so don't be surprised if you see larger vehicles like Land Raiders and Imperial Knights with dozens of wounds. So don't be afraid. When I said in the other video, everything can hurt everything. Yes, it's true. It just might be difficult, but don't be afraid that means your vehicle's just going to blow up because they only have 3 hull points. No, they're going to have a lot more wounds coming in. We don't have an exact number for a vehicle, but based on some of the stuff we'll see when we go over the new stat lines, I would say, well, like a Land Raider might come in the 12 to 15 wound range, I might say. But we don't know yet. We'll see for sure later on. Another rule or not necessarily rule change we have, but a new update coming to 8th edition is that there are no more super heavies. Now, they're doing this because stats are no longer capped at 10. Like I said, you can have much more than 10 wounds, you can have more than 10 strength, more than 10 toughness. Because of that, like in the old editions, we had, okay, we have our vehicles, and we're kind of capped out, we're at 10, we don't want to go above 10. How do we make these seem bigger and more powerful? Oh, we're going to give them a new classification of super heavy. So what we do now is, because we aren't capped at 10, we can make them, actually how strong they're supposed to be in scale. We don't have to have a special rule for them. They can just have more wounds, be tougher, be stronger, give them a couple special rules that they can do maybe. We'll see about that. But they've come out and said that super heavy as of classification is no longer there. So that's kind of neat to see that they're playing around with that. And again, when you restrict yourself as far as rules making, like how you couldn't go above 10, you really have to find workarounds to that, which they try to do with super heavies and classifying things, monstrous creatures and vehicles. So now that they're not doing that anymore, I think it's better for us now that they're not capping things at 10. Again, I mentioned we gained a movement stat, lost our initiative stat, so this might alter things like frost cannons, things that gave initiative tests, but I'm sure they'll come up with other rules for that as well. If you've noticed, if you take a look at the stat bar down in the corner there already, our tactical squad has weapon skill and ballistic skill of 3+. What they're doing with that is, it's kind of taking it how it was before. You compared your ballistic skill, subtract from 7, and that's what I need to hit, and then add modifiers if maybe you're snap shooting, stuff like that. What they're doing now is kind of just taking out a step, right? Before you had to, okay, ballistic skill 4, 7 minus 4 is 3, I need to roll 3. Now they're saying, hey, you need to roll 3. There will be modifiers to that, whether we don't know if it's going to be a cover system or something like that, but there will be modifiers to your hit rolls which I think is just easier. It's just cutting out a step, right? A new player sees, you know, ballistic skill 4, weapon skill 4. Okay, now what do I have to do with that? With a new weapon skill, there will be modifiers to melee combat, modifiers to ranged. So it just says, okay, normally I need to roll 3. Are there any modifiers? Yes or no? No. Okay, roll 3. Are there any modifiers? Yes or no? Okay, now I need to roll a 4. You don't have to do this more math in your head. It just makes it easier, saves time, which I think is part of the thing about speeding games up, and helps attract new players. I can see, if I look at this unit card, what do I need to roll? It says on this card, 3+, done. That's it. If I'm a newer player, that was one of the biggest things when I started introducing people to the game. Okay, I have bliss skill this. What do I need to roll? You know, that question happened every time, because, you know, if you've been playing for a while, you know, ballistic skill 4, roll 3. It's just 4, 3. Now you can just look at it. If you're a new player, I need to roll 3. It says 3+. Done. Hooray. So I think it just will help attract newer players to the game a little bit, help them stay in the game. Again, remove some of the overwhelmingness that can come with all the rules and stuff that are in 40K, like we know. And the more players, I think the better, right? Strength and toughness will work similar to before. So if I have my strength 5 unit swinging into a toughness 4 unit, they're going to wound on 3s. A strength 4 unit swinging into my toughness 5 unit will wound on 5s. That's going to work the same as before. As far as wound rolls and weapons and stuff go as well, it's going to work the same. And the last thing is wounds are increased for many things. So, like I've said before, I expect a Land Raider. They haven't said yet, but we'll go over some of the new stat lines in a second. They haven't said yet, but I would expect a Land Raider to come in around 10 to 12 wounds or hull points, whatever they're going to call it for vehicles now. I would expect that. So we'll start going over some of our stat lines for the units that they revealed so far. If you're newer, Space Marines are kind of what everything's measured against, so that's what they've released so far. So our Tactical Squad has their new unit movement stat of 6 inches. They can normally move 6 inches. Their weapon skill is 3+, so in melee combat they hit in the 3+ on modified. Ballistic skill, they hit with their weapons, their ranged weapons on a 3+, unmodified. Strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and 3-up save. So not a lot has changed there. They've just kind of reformatted things. Like I said, the leadership works a little bit differently than it did before, so that could come into play more now that there's leadership 7. I believe they were 8 before, and then it was 9 with the sergeant. So leadership 7 might play around a little bit. I think that's just so, you know, because they're 3-up save and they don't have, unless you give them a special weapon, there's no what they call an armor modifier or AP value to it in melee combat. The lower leadership helps melee combats be less of a bog where you just spend turns and turns and turns. So that's our Tactical Squad. Terminator Squads, this is where we start to see a little bit of a difference again. Terminator Squad have a movements of 5 inches. Bigger armor, a little bit slower. The weapon skill and ballistic skill are the same, 3+. Strength and toughness are the same, 4+. But Terminators now have 2 wounds. A thing we've been asking for a while now, but this is just to kind of present what we've wanted in the game for a while, is that, you know, why does a Terminator, these big guys in this big suit, die to 1 wound? Yes, they have better armor save, but why do they only have 1 wound, right? So this gives them 2 wounds. Leadership 8, attacks 2 in melee combat as well as their base attack, and have their good old 2-up save. Now we'll notice when we go into weapons a little bit how the saves are modified in the new system, but that's our new Terminator Squad. So I would say change for the better, a little bit slower, but again more thematic almost. I would say they're not faster. You know, a regular Tactical Squad is faster than a Terminator, and Terminator is tougher and a little bit better in melee combat and a little bit better leadership. So, like, I wouldn't mind it if their toughness and strength went up to 5, you know, because they're bigger, so they should be tougher and stronger as well, but they just translated that into another wound, so I can see where their thinking went there. Now, I haven't played a lot of 30K, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation like everybody does, but Rabute Guilliman, forgive me, has a movement, again, of 8 inches, so a Primarch is moving faster than your regular infantry, which just makes sense. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 2+, he's hitting on 2+, strength 6, toughness 6, 9 wounds. So I think in 30K, if you've played, again, I haven't played a lot, he has 6 wounds, maybe 7 in 30K, 6 attack space, leadership 10, and has a 2-up save. So again, he's tougher than he was before as far as more wounds go. His leadership is 10, which it was before, and his save is a 2-up. So again, we'll get into how the saves can be modified in a second when we start looking at weapons. But I think it's kind of neat because even Primarchs can be brought down, given enough firepower. in lore and also in the game here as well. So our last unit card we'll check out before we get to weapons is going to be a Dreadnought. So this is the first time we're seeing a vehicle in this. So just like before, you can see movement 6 inches, Robute moves faster, which is interesting. Kind of makes sense, unless you just have like an auto-run mode. On the Dreadnought, you hit Q when they just auto-run. But their weapon skill, ballistic skill is 3, so they're hitting on 3 pluses unmodified. Strength 6, toughness 7. So again, our armor values turn into a toughness. If you notice, we'll get into when we get into our weapons, but of course, your regular Space Marine bolter is still strength 4. So yes, it can hurt a Dreadnought, but it's hurting on probably 6s again, maybe 7s. If you're not familiar with how you roll a 7, you roll a 6, and then you have to roll a 4 up again for it to be a 7. I don't know if that's the scale they're going to go to that, but maybe I can see them doing that just for to make a bolter be able to hurt a vehicle. That, I think, is what you would kind of have to do. Again, wounds, though, holy cow. 3 hull points on a Dreadnought previously went up to 8 wounds. Attacks 4, leadership 8 with a 3-up save. So his save is the same as a regular Space Marine, but he has 8 wounds you have to get through. So I think Dreadnoughts improved a lot given this. We'll see how, again, in a second when we get into weapons, how this can kind of be changed, but I think, like, immediately you see nobody brought Dreadnoughts before. If everything remains roughly the same point value, I can see bringing them now. Like 8 wounds that you have to slog through, toughness 7, it's going to be difficult to wound, right? So with a save on top of that. So if we just dropped this Dreadnought into 7th edition 40k, yes, wounds, I know, but it's going to be a lot harder to kill. With new weapons, maybe it'll stream a little bit, but I think they just got a little better without having played any games and stuff, of course. But I think they got better and more viable in the game. So before we take a look at our weapon stat lines, I'm going to go over this a little bit. Actually, we'll take a look at it right now. So hopefully you can make that out. They give us a little bit of a small picture. So we have some ranged weapons that are listed. Our first one is our Flamer. Has an 8-inch range, assault type D6, strength 4, AP 0, and D, or damage, is 1. And abilities, this weapon automatically hits its target. Now, as we went over in the previous video, your templates are gone. No more templates. So the Flamer automatically hits whatever it's shooting at within 8 inches. You'll see it says assault D6. It automatically hits it D6 times. So okay, my Flamers are going to shoot at those guys. They're going to hit 4 times. Roll a die, right? Now this does a few things. What this does is you no longer have to lay down a template and have your Flamers out front in order to not have to hit your own guys. You can bury your Flamers back in your unit behind your regular dudes. What it also does is, if you have multiple Flamers, you're going to hit multiple D6 times, even against a singular guy. So you have multitude of Flamers up against a Primarch or something similar with a single unit with a lot of wounds. Those Flamers can bring it down. So we'll talk about AP value. AP 0, so that means is this does not modify your armor save. So previously, Flamers did have an AP value, I believe, so they would just really mow down some like 8 armor 6 units like cultists and things. But in this case, those guys will still get their save. So I think Flamers just got a little worse kind of against Horde armies and a little better against big strong units. You're going to be rolling a lot of hits and it's still like a 6 up to save or a 5 up to save, so it's going to be harder to save, but they get a save now, so we'll see. Damage is 1. That means for each unsaved wound you get, it causes 1 damage. So we'll go over that in a second when we get to our las cannon, as you can see. So our bolt gun is 24-inch, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. So bolt guns are your same old bolt guns. I don't know if they're going to change the definition of rapid fire, but what they used to mean is if you're within half range, you would double your shots. So we'll see if that remains the same, but bolters look the same. No AP value, though, like they used to have, so same thing. At least just mow down cultists, but we'll see. We'll see what they do now. Flamer, yeah. So get down to our las cannon one. This is the interesting thing. So our las cannon has a range of 48 inches, heavy 1, so our heavy classification 6 around. Strength 9, AP -3, damage D6. So what this means is -3, we put that onto our save. So if we shoot a Space Marine, for example, with their 3-up save, with a las cannon, it moves their 3-up save up to a 6-up save. Or if we shoot at Robute with our las cannon, his 2-up save moves to a 5-up save. Or so Or if we shoot our Dreadnought with its 3-up save, it moves to a 6-up save. And then if that model or that unit doesn't save that, it does D6 wounds to that model or unit. So this is how we would balance out with the Dreadnought having 8 wounds. I shoot at it, it takes its 6-up, it doesn't make it, okay, I do 4 wounds to it. I do a roll, I could do 1, I could do 6. Right? Some relatively tough characters could be knocked out with a single last cannon hit like they could before because they would be insta-killed. Right? We have yet to see if insta-killing is going to be something that sticks around. If this is what they're going with, I would say probably not, because you can... Like, if you do 6 wounds to something, most stuff is going to die, especially for Rabute here. That was really good timing for the slideshow. Only has, what did he have, 9, right? 2 las cannons can take down Rabute pretty easily. It gives him a 5-up against las cannons, and they need to do 9 wounds to him. So 3 or 4 las cannons can easily take down a Primarch, I would say. One thing they did say in the article was that, oh, las cannons are really good against vehicles, but I don't know if you want to use them against hordes. Now, if you've played or seen played any Age of Sigmar, this is debatable, because if you've seen those played, D6 damage against a horde of units is pretty good. You roll 4 or 5, you remove a quarter of their big blob of 20. That still seems pretty good. So I would debate about that with them, but still seems like it would be good. Last thing we have to go over, so we've taken a look at all of our kind of new stat cards, new weapon stat cards, and how the different stats, AP modifiers, modifier saves, D6 damage. There'll probably be weapons with D3 as well, like a missile launcher I can see being D3, maybe. Last and final thing is, again, because, just like with super heavies, because they're not capped at 10 anymore, you know what we don't have anymore? Strength D weapons. There are no more strength D weapons in the game, because instead of, okay, we're at strength 10, what do? We're going to make strength D, it's going to have this awesome chart, you're going to do things, just remove from the table, and blah, blah, blah. No, we're just going to have stronger weapons. We're just going to have stronger weapons now. When you design yourself into a corner, you got to find a way to break out, so they broke through the wall and made strength D weapons. Now that they don't have that limit to themselves anymore, they're just going to make stronger weapons. Possibly special rules again, stuff like that. Maybe you have to take a test or be removed, who knows. But no more strength D weapons in the game. So these are really, really interesting developments going forward. So that's all the new stuff we have for you today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the summary of the last couple days. I don't want to make little short videos for you every day, and I also don't want to have to wait a week, because I do want to come to you with this stuff while it's still new and relevant. So hopefully you enjoyed this kind of little summary of the new information, kind of how it's going to relate to playing the game with related to everything else. If you guys have anything you'd like to see, suggestions for videos, please let me know. Please comment on the video down below if you liked it. Love to hear back from you. Suggestions, things you want to see, anything at all. Even just a, hey, how's it going, Dave? Because I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hoping to get this channel up and running and do really regular content for you guys as 8th edition continues to roll out. You can go ahead and follow me on twitch.tv/Dave865, on Twitter @Dave2619. We usually post our new videos up on Twitter, or notify people at least. Yeah, I had a great time talking with you guys today. We're getting really excited for 8th edition Warhammer 40k coming out. I've liked it before. Change is a good thing. One thing I'll mention before we head out, I think I mentioned in the last video, or at least in comment on the last video, so I want to say it in this one. If you are panicking, they're changing my game, they're changing the game I love totally, I can see that's not an invalid way to feel. If you feel away, that's okay. But the last thing I want people to do is, when we saw Fantasy turn into Age of Sigmar, I saw videos on YouTube of people burning their minis. Like, nothing is stopping you from keeping playing 7th and playing a game you do enjoy. Keep playing 7th, keep your codexes, keep your rule books, that's fine. You keep playing it. I enjoy 7th. If I didn't, I wouldn't have started playing Warhammer, right? I enjoy 7th edition too. But change happens, right? You know, a new gaming console comes out. We got to buy it if you want to keep playing games. You know, the games do get better and better looking. So this is just the stuff that happens. Games progress, times progress. We got to either go with the flow. But the nice thing is, if you're playing 7th, you enjoy 7th, you're not that excited for 8th, you can keep playing 7th. I would say give it a shot. They've learned a lot of things from Age of Sigmar, and how the rollout of that kind of wasn't the best. They've learned a lot from that. This seems like they put in a lot of work, a lot of thought into how they're doing this, and a lot of play testing. So I would say give it a shot at least. If you don't like it, by all means, keep playing 7th. The last thing I want to see is more of those mini destruction videos. If you're going to make a mini destruction video where you destroy your minis, just send them to me. Send me a message. I'll give you my mailing address. Mail me your minis. Be fine with that if you want to get rid of them. All right, guys. That's all I got for you for today. Have an awesome rest of your day. And remember, the Emperor protects.